Hi, welcome to a video. I've had a few comments about making kits, and one thing I'm a firm believer of is you can do anything if you try, and you don't know what you can do until you try it. So I thought I'd make a little video about making these kits. And I'll start off with a little summary of the tools that, if you're a modeler, you really should be having most of these tools. Maybe not the kittens. Oh, quick belly rub. They're nice and chilled at the moment. But yeah, so these are the kits I've been building. The Cambrian kits. I'm about to be making, I've got 4 of these 10-ton vans to make, all ready to go. Yeah, and then, like I think I mentioned in a comment, if you've built an Airfix kit, you can probably build one of these. So in the kit it comes with, you know, the plastic injection molded kits, and you need to get, as it says on the front, Gibson open spoke wheels, which I have there. The open being, if you see, they're very tiny little, sometimes called open or split spoke, I believe, and they're the 12mm. And I get them from this company, which I find excellent. It's where I get the kits from, because I can get the kits, the wheels and the bearings all from one place, which is dead handy. They're excellent as well. This kit actually came and there was a couple of parts missing, and even over Christmas, I think it literally was Boxing Day, I think I was making these and I realised I had some parts missing, and I emailed Harry at H&A Models. He got straight back to me. I also emailed Graham at Cambrian Kits, who's the new owner, I believe, of Cambrian Kits. So he's kind of, I think that these are the sort of small companies where there's only a few people running them. They both got back to me, and within a day or two I had the missing parts come back to me, so I was dead pleased about that, and finally getting back round to building. I'm not affiliated with either of these stores, but if you're thinking of getting them, H&A Models, great website. Got lots of different kits on there actually, not just the Cambrian. They've got Parkside Dundas. So if you saw in the rake, there's the PMV van. That's from Parkside Dundas. Dundas, if that's how you say it. Yeah, good stuff. I've also picked up these coupling hooks. You can get various different type of coupling hooks. I found these ones are white metal. Nice and easy to use. Anyway, so in the kit, this is a van, so you've got sides, floor, roof, ends, and then you've got all your brake gear and soul bars. If you just notice there, that's the part there, that's a bit I don't use because it's the mount for the coupling. So if you want a tension hook coupling or any other type of coupling, you can use them. I don't use that because I'm a KD coupler. We'll come on to that. So, little tools that you're going to need for this. It's always useful to have a back-to-back gauge just to check those wheels are okay, because there's one thing that will cause a wobbly wagon. It's an out of gauge wheel, so you can just check all your wheels are nicely engaged and you won't get wobbly wheels. And yeah, moving on to the tools. This is actually not mech pack, but it's in a bottle, and there's a bit of blue tack there. That is really useful. You don't want this stuff falling over. A bit more stable, even more stable. I'll put full pressure on that. That does not want to fall over. If you've ever spilt that gear, it's an evacuate the room time. This stinks. Open all the doors and windows. You'll be pretty high after about a minute of breathing that stuff in. Not pleasant. So, having accidentally turned off the camera, I'll carry on where I left off, hopefully, with the tools. Tiny little paintbrush. This glue, whether it's mech pack or any kind of liquid poly, works by a sort of capillary action into the plastics. So, a little paintbrush along the edges, and it works beautifully. Standard sort of tools you should have as a model, really. Your girlfriend's tweezers. I've probably got about 3 pairs of tweezers, various files. I've just got a couple here, a couple of different profiles, small files for filing down the flash from the kits. As any kit like this, there's a little bit of flash, they need a bit of finishing to get right. This is a fiberglass pencil. If you haven't got one of these, they're invaluable, just for tidying up at the end and making sure the glue, sometimes you get a bit of excess glue with the liquid or from the super glues, and it just smooths off the kit and gives them a nice finish before painting. Very handy. Craft knife, you can't go do much modelling without one of them. A little mini drill with a range of drill sizes. I think that's a drill bit in there for handrails. This kit doesn't have any handrails. I don't think it needs any drilling, but you never know when you might need a drill, and you should just always have some tiny little screwdrivers. You can't get far without tiny screwdrivers. So that's pretty much the basic tools for this kit. I've got the rest of my toolbox there, just handy. Oh look, that's a lovely tool. And a couple of things about glue. I've got this is the control glue, and then there's the Power Flex. I actually prefer the control. It's like a liquid super glue. I put a little blob on there. I have my safety pin, drawing pin, just to apply it. It's not quite works like a capillary action, but you can hold parts in place and it will absorb into the gap and glue. It's a really nice, easy glue to use, I find. Moving around then, as I said, I'm a KD coupler user, so I've got a little bit of track ready and a height gauge, some plastic card to make up the height, ruler, and these are the KDs. So that's the 4 parts of the KD couplers I'd be using for these. These are number 5s, so they come in a big packet like that. Draft box, pretty fiddly to put together, but you can get used to it after a while. Not too much of a problem. And just as an extra thing as well, I'd used some of these kits have a bit of wiring for sort of brake gear. I find it can be a bit bendy. It's not unusable, it's perfectly usable. But I just had this brass rod and I just find it's a bit stiffer, and it makes it a little bit easier to make the under frame brake gear rods. Also, if you're having to make handrails, that's really nice wire to use for handrails. And then pan around there, there's my pot of KDs, and then we've got just other bits and pieces in there. There's some masking tape, my paints, other bits and pieces. A nice handy tool if you need to cutting out curves. So that's effectively the tool bench. You can see utilising the Chinese takeaway boxes just to put all the parts in. To be honest, once I start making them, because they're all the same, you don't need to separate out which bits from which. They're all the same kit. But if you were making different kits, you would want to make sure you're keeping your parts separate. Lots of coffee. I'm a huge cricket fan, so I've got the one-day cricket on. We might actually do a bit better in this. And yeah, that's the basics of what I need to make these kits. And I'll try and just make some sort of update clips as I'm going along with building them. First job, as I said, is just to make sure you've filed off all the flash. So I've started on these. It was the floors that were missing, so as you can see, they're attached to a bit of sprue that just needs to come off and just to be filed off. It's a bit repetitive when you're doing 4 kits. So you've got 4 floors, 4 roofs, 4 sides, 8 ends. And if you look at the brake gears and the shoes, you have to be quite careful with them. They can be pretty delicate, but not impossible. So if you're worried about how fiddly it is, they're the sort of smallest parts on these kits. I think they're the lever springs for the door. One other thing to say actually, when I first got one of these kits, I was a little daunted because not like Airfix where it's part 1 and part 2, fix them together. These refer to the parts by name, so I didn't have a clue. I'm not particularly railway knowledgeable, so it said fix the soul bar to the floor, and I'm kind of, what's the soul bar, what's the brake shoe, what's the lever, what's this, that's, and the other. After a while it becomes sort of kind of obvious because they're the only parts you've got left on the sprue. A floor and a roof is sort of self-explanatory. So if you're worried about how to make these kits, really just give them a go. They're pounds to buy, and yeah, you may need to buy a few other bits, bearings and wheels, but you know, this is a couple of quid for some bearings. The wheels are a couple of quid each. That's 20 coupling hooks, they were a couple of £1, and paints, which I think for these, I think there's 2 different paints needed for these kits. I think the livery I'll be painting them in, it's going to be southern brown, underframe will be black. So yeah, 2 paints basically, and somewhere I've got the transfer sheets, which are maybe £4 for plenty of wagons. Okay, so hopefully in a minute I'll be showing you the next stage of build. So all the flash is filed, and now I'm just going to, a little bit there, try and put together a little bit here and show you how that goes together. One of the advantages of the cutting mat is the square grid, which can help alignment. If you get a tiny bit of blue tack, you can, if you need to, that will all sit absolutely flush and square and hold it. It's going to be a bit tricky with these because I can't blue tack. But this will be the basic construction of that. Sequence of construction, should I say. So get it roughly lined up. Get a bit of blue tack on there at that end. And then we can start to think about the glue. Don't take the lid off of that for too long. It really is a case of just hold it in place. Quick. Now it seems quite fast and loose, but this glue remains movable, so it doesn't, until it's firm, really gone off. Basically what it's doing is it's a chemical bond, so it's in effect, I guess, melting the plastic. So you can make sure you're really lined up. There we go, it's starting to get it lined. Get a bit more on. Okay, you can just drop there, that will go all the way down into the corners. That's looking fine. It says check the roof fitting. Yep, that looks like that's going to be fine. I'll have a look at that in a minute. Perfect, that looks like that's about right. Just pop those off. So it's still not set. And then it's just a case of popping the floor in. Now there's 3 little lugs inside on the sides. So there's this is where it all goes wrong, it falls apart. Now I can see inside the lug through needs to now this is quite a crucial part, because you want the floor and sides to be all exactly spot on, because obviously smooth running is dependent on it being square. So that is looking like it's, and I'll just give a little inside. Make sure that is all square. You can see the glue takes a while to just fully go off, so you can check your alignments, and if things aren't perfect you can get them better. When I've used this glue with these kind of kits and scratch building, I've often thought, why didn't we have this when we were building those Airfix kits? It makes them easy. Lastly, just to make sure that roof's going to go on right here, just that's possibly going to need a little bit of pressure and a little bit of fetting to get the roofs on. I find I've done a couple of vans so far and Yeah, that should be fine. One down, 3 to go. There we have 4 of the vans done now. Roofs aren't yet fixed. And next stage will be to sort the soul bars out, put the bearings in and the wheels and fit those. So it hasn't taken that long to be doing this. I'm going to have a little break now, and I think with the length of the video that's probably going to be like a part 1, and I'll get back to a part 2 at some other stage. Thanks for watching.